Many of us wish for a happy, lasting relationship. But with so many divorces and breakups, is there hope? I think there is. I think the key is to first build a healthy relationship. And this is so foundational that if you aim for just this, I think the happiness and the greatness will follow. But there are some essential ingredients you need. Now think about it like a recipe to a healthy, incredible dish. Having the ingredients won't guarantee perfection, but they'll go a long way towards making it a success. Now in part 1, we looked at the first 5 ingredients, and today we're going to look at the other 5. Now, as I said in part 1, these ingredients aren't in any kind of order of importance except the very first ingredient. So if you haven't looked at that video, please go check it out. And now, on to part 2, ingredient number 6. Ingredient number 6. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt pressured because you weren't handsome enough, beautiful enough, rich enough, or cool enough? Maybe you were too old, too young, too fat, too thin. Maybe you didn't have enough money, or a car, or any other material stuff. Please comment below. People have unique personalities, values, and aspirations. Now, these have formed over many years and help define who they are, what they do, how they live, and even how much they have. In a healthy relationship, this unique combination attracts two people to each other. They can be true to themselves and not have to suppress, force, or fake anything. And that's really powerful because they can then focus on building the relationship and not on trying to change or correct anything. Now, many people are hoping, waiting, or forcing their partners to change, and this creates a lot of stress. The person trying to change feels pressured because they feel they need to perform or behave very carefully or suppress their emotions. And the person waiting for the change feels pressure because they can never be sure if any change is permanent or if their partner will soon revert to their original stripes. Now, with this kind of pressure, it creates resentment, and resentment creates rebellion, and we know where this is going to end up. Now, forcing change to overcome innate incompatibilities is like trying to force a round peg into a square hole or vice versa. It's unnatural, it's painful, and it will cause damage. Now, the happiest couples are happy with each other the way they are. Now, they do change. They do recognize that in a relationship, you do need to make some changes, but they do it willingly after careful consideration and reflection on what they could do and how they could improve for the relationship. So there's no resentment, they live authentic lives, still true to themselves, and they can be happy and stress-free. So ask yourself, does my partner pressure me to change in this relationship? Do I feel like I'm not good enough? Have I had to give up important principles just to keep the other person happy or to stay in this relationship? Do I feel guilty, depressed, or angry with who I have to be or not be in this relationship? Great communication and emotional intimacy. We've all heard how important communication is to a relationship, especially a relationship with a special other. Now, communication creates emotional intimacy, which is a special blend of closeness with openness that we all want. When you can't share your goals and dreams, your hopes and fears, your triumphs and your failures, that's when relationships drift and emotional bonds are formed with other people, and we know how that ends. You don't even need eloquence. All you really need is the intent to be open and loving, because that's really the root of all communications. Couples talk. about a variety of topics, from the serious to the mundane, from real challenges to nonsensical fun stuff. And that's talking because they enjoy talking with each other. Don't let your communications just be about emergencies, because sooner or later, if you do, that emergency may well be your relationship. Now, active listening is very important. Loving couples make the effort to listen and let their partner fully express themselves without judgment or without defensiveness or without listening just to respond. And because they do this, they're able to understand, empathize, and support their partner better. They don't just hear the words. They also listen to tonality, pay attention to facial expressions, and they pick up on other subtle cues. And they're so in tune that states and moods can be communicated without words. They also use touch. From holding hands to making love, so much feeling is communicated without verbalizing. Now, good communication also includes good arguing. Now, we all are going to have our disagreements, right? We're all unique individuals, but the key is to keep the big picture in mind, and that picture is working through something together. Now, if a point must be made, they are clear but also sensitive. If you do win, do so gracefully. And sometimes it's about realizing that something's not really a big deal and it's okay to let the other person win. So ask yourself, in my relationship, do I enjoy talking to my partner? Are my conversations all about or end up in stressful topics? Do I look forward to or dread talking to my partner? In an argument, are you always the first person to give in, to give way, and to apologize and try to make things right? That's a bad sign. So that's emotional intimacy, and now we have to get to physical intimacy. In a loving relationship, there must be physical intimacy. Now, we are creatures of affection. We're made to touch and be touched. From babies being tickled to toddlers having their hair tousled, touch communicates feelings of love and affection. When we got older, we hugged our friends. When we started dating, we held hands. And when we fell in love, we kissed. Now, these acts of tenderness communicate something very important to each other. Now, emotional intimacy is very important for bonding, but physical intimacy does it in a way that's exclusive to a relationship. And you really need both kinds of connections in a relationship. Because of its exclusive nature, a couple needs to be sexually compatible. That's the reality of it. After all, this is someone you intend to spend a long time with, being exclusive. So you really got to be honest and discuss things like likes, dislikes, fantasies, fetishes, how you look, smell, physical attributes. You've got to be honest from the very start, or it's going to spell trouble down the road when things aren't so rosy. Now, bear in mind that as important as sex is, great sex can't be the only bond in your relationship. If it is, chances are you're in a co-dependent relationship. Now, many of the happiest couples I've interviewed have told me that they were connected in a myriad of ways before sex even happened. And in fact, many of the ingredients we've discussed were already present in their relationship, so they had lots of emotional intimacy already, and that made their physical intimacy even more powerful. So ask yourself, am I satisfied with my sex life? If I'm not satisfied, well, why haven't I spoken up? Have we discussed it? Is this a person I can see myself being faithful to for the next 10 or 20 years? Financial responsibility. It's well known that finances cause many relationship problems. So for a start, each person must be responsible for covering their own financial responsibilities, from having a source of income, personal expenditures, managing debt, to meeting all financial obligations. They need to have it covered. This removes any financial motives to the relationship. When one person starts to become responsible for another, it's no longer an equal relationship. And it also causes undue stress as they tap into their own resources for their own happiness and personal improvement. And this really goes back to what I said in part 1. Two people really need to have their lives together before even starting a relationship. Now, successful couples have a financial plan based on shared financial values, such as delayed gratification, financial freedom, shared expenses, and business and investment goals. This is especially important in case one person gets incapacitated and the other needs to take over and make some of the financial, business, and investment decisions. So that's financial responsibility. Now, we started this list of ingredients with the most important one, so I'm going to bookend this list with another one, which some would argue is in fact the most important. We're going to now talk about trust and security. When someone commits to a relationship, they take a risk. They risk time, energy, emotion, money, and more seriously, they risk being hurt and treated badly. In some cases, the opportunity cost is also another suitor who might have been a better person. Now, shared happiness might seem validating, but decreasing the fear of risk itself can only come with increasing trust. Now, with more trust comes an increasing sense of security, as initial cautions and concerns are replaced with faith as they build the future together. Now, feeling secure is what lets one person commit fully to the other and give their relationship their all. They feel safe. They feel confident that they can depend on each other, not just in good times, but also when things get tough. They can open their hearts, their minds, and their souls to each other without fear. And it also diminishes the power of external influences and third parties who might try to sabotage the relationship. Now, the best relationships, the healthiest relationships have this. And a good test for yourself is how well you sleep at night without having to wonder what your partner is up to and what they're doing on social media. Now, I want to quickly talk about 3 insecurities that can happen even in the best relationships. And it's kind of okay if they're only happening very occasionally and in very small doses. And these 3 insecurities are jealousy, fear of loss of interest, and fear of temptation. Now, jealousy. Sometimes it's quite normal to have feelings of inadequacy when you compare yourself to someone else. Maybe someone more attractive, someone richer, more powerful, more successful. Now, at times like this, communication is very important to communicate fears and concerns, and also to communicate reassurance in a loving and patient way. Now, fear of loss of interest, well, that can be minimized by things like maintaining your fitness and your appearance, right? I mean, this is really important. We don't feel good when our partner, once they're in a relationship with us, start to let themselves go. That's a reality. Of course, make sure you do the same. And you can also try to minimize loss of interest by making sure that you have shared relationship goals and that you're working on growing and improving yourselves together. And then finally, there's temptation. Well, here's the thing. Decent people don't just decide to become unfaithful overnight. Now, the scene for that is usually set because of many unmet emotional needs, causing resentment and then unhappiness, and then making them really vulnerable. So first, establish that loyalty is a shared value in the first place, And once you have that, work very hard to build the other things, the communication, the support, the happy connections, in short, all the other ingredients that we've talked about. And that's really why I put trust and security last. Not because they're the least important, but because if you have developed the other ingredients in your relationship, that already goes a long way towards creating that trust and security that everybody wants in a relationship. So those are the 10 ingredients of a healthy relationship. Now remember, these ingredients are all interlinked. So working on one often helps you to build another. But on the other hand, neglecting one may cause repercussions in other ingredients. So you really have to try to develop them all. And I think it's worth it, because these all go towards creating a healthy relationship, and that healthy relationship is so foundational to a happy and lasting relationship, which we all want, and which I think is a very, very big part of a full life for many people. So please have a look at my blog articles that are the related blog articles to this topic that I'll link below. Have a read. It's going to take you a while to absorb all of this. And meanwhile, if you found this video useful, please, again, like it, share it with someone you care about. I'm guessing there are a lot of people who could benefit from some insight into this concept of healthy relationships, and maybe even question if they have one, and if not, how they might go about getting it. I really hope this has been very helpful for you, and I'll see you very soon in the next video.